योगीशाद्याः सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यन्नत्वा कृतकृत्याः स्युतं नमामि गजाननम् पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितं भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन कृतितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवत्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णप्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां योगिनं विश्वनाथाख्यम् अस्मत्तातस्वरूपिणम् आत्मलाभात् परं लाभं वक्तारं न कदाचन गीतार्थग्रन्थकर्तारं श्रीगुरुं प्रणमाम्यहं योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मे वाचं धृतिं बुद्धिं प्रचोदयात्। ॐ नमः सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च भो नमः। ॐ Friends, we are going to be doing Gita regimen for Advaitic living, number 35 today. We shall be covering shlokas of the 6th chapter, shloka numbers 24 to 28. What has gone so far? So far he has described 2 times the actual dhyana regimen, meditation regimen, and then in 4 or 5 shlokas, from shlokas 17 to 23, he has talked about the glory of dhyana. And then shloka number 21, Sukham Atyantikam Yattat, that infinite bliss was talked about. Yamladva Chaparam Labham, what one has obtained, after which there is nothing greater to obtain, that has been said in number 22. That understand as the yoga, samvidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samhitam, the disjunction from pain, dukkha samyoga viyoga, that is the yoga. So now for the final time he is giving a quick regimen of dhyana at the final stages, the final dhyana regimen. Shloka number 24 and 25 we shall say together. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman hyaktva sarvana sheshataham manasaivendriya gramam viniyamya samantataham shanai shanairuparamete दृष्ट्वा बुद्ध्या धृतिगृहीतया आत्मसंस्थमन कृत्वा न किंचिदपि चिन्तयेत्. Great shlokas, beautiful shlokas. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman, all the desires, kaman, arise from, or sankalpa. Sankalpa is determination, our own will, desire will as we call it. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktva sarvan asheshatagam, without anything, without any balance, asheshataga, without any balance, that is totally, completely, tyaktva, having discarded them. The predetermined thoughts, sankalpa, they from that arise desires. So having discarded them, indriya gramam, the assemblage of the senses and the organs, indriya gramam viniyamya, restraining, holding back the gang of the senses, samantataha, from all sides. You see, still the emotive mind, the mind has a lot of emotions in it, the mind of desires and the senses, that is the indriya gramam. They are the recipients of outward touches. They are the ones which respond to any, with emotional reactions to all outward experiences, outward touches. How should we do that? Dhriti grihitaya, Dhriti is fortitude, firmness. Grihitaya, the buddhi should control it by steadiness or firmness. Dhriti, grihitaya, control, grasp it, the mind, with the help of the resolute intellect. Dhriti grihitaya, intellect held in the grasp of the fixity and firmness. The mind has to be seized. Dhriti grihitaya manasa. Manasaiva indriyagramam vinayaiva. Indriyagramam, the senses, which of course include the manas. Manasaiva, by mind alone, it must be controlled. Samantataha, from all sides. And then the shloka goes on to the next continuation. Shanai shanai uparamet. Slowly, gradually, little by little. Shanai shanai uparamet, withdraw. Shanai shanai uparamet buddhya dhriti grihitaya. So the emotive mind's activity should be silenced in the stilled in the silence of the self. Atma samstam manakritva. This is the exact point where the Vedantic Yoga differs from the Yoga Shastra Yoga. What does the Yoga Shastra say? Still the mind, have no thoughts, empty the thoughts. But Vedanta says, keep the mind anchored. The mind will keep thinking. So let it be turned, anchored, held back to the self. Atma samstam manakritva. It is the key word here. In the whole regimen of dhyana, Atma samstam manakritva is the key word. We will come back to the same key words again and again in today's talk. So, keep the mind anchored to the self. Fix the mind in the higher self. One should not think of anything else. Nakinchid api chintayet. One should not think of anything else. This is what teaching, quieten the mind, still the mind. All these words are often used in yoga description. That is what it means. Still the mind does not mean have no thoughts. It's impossible. You have to turn the mind towards the Atman. What is the meaning of turning the mind towards the Atman? We are going to talk about it in the next shloka now. So, shanai shanai uparamet, slowly, gradually, buddhya dhriti grihitaya. The buddhi, the intellect, has to hold, has to have its reins on the mind. That mind should be anchored to the self. Atma samstam manakritva. Nakinchid api chintayet. Do not think of anything else. Now let us continue with the next shloka. The next shloka is going to be important, very, very important, because it is very easy to say, quieten the mind, anchor it to the self, bring it back to the self, all those things. But we all find it very difficult. We have struggled with the mind, all of us, during our meditation, all of us. There is no exception, including Vishwamitra and great sages. All of us have struggled to keep the mind anchored to the self. So what is the remedy? Krishna says there is no remedy. Every time the mind wavers, bring it back. Look at the next sloka. Yato nischarati manaschanchalam asthiram tatastato niyam yaitade atmanyeva vasham nayet. Manaha chanchalam asthiram. Chanchalam is fickle. Asthiram, unsteady. Whenever and wherever the mind which is fickle and unsteady, when it goes, nischarati, wanders, tatastato niyamya, then and there, tatastato niyamya, control it, atmanyeva vasham nayet, bring it back to the anchor of the self. That is all what the shloka says. whatsoever makes the restless and unquiet mind wander away, then and there it should be controlled and brought into subjection back to the self. Sir, is this the remedy? This is the only remedy. Because there are 13 channels, modifications of the mind. 13, 1, 3. These are the channels by which the thoughts of the mind flow. What are the 13 channels? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Raga, Dvesha, Mada, Matsarya, Irshya, Asuya, Damba and Garva. 12. Plus Ahankara, their captain. 13. These are the only 13 channels, which are actually all of them bad channels. The mind flows in one of them or several of them. Kama is desire, Krodha is anger, Lobha is greed, Moha is delusion, Raga is attachment, Dvesha is hate, Mada is arrogance, Matsarya is jealousy, Irshya, very peculiar. It is a self-pity that when misery happens, when some misery happens to myself, I think that why does this misery not happen to my neighbor or to the other man? Why it happens only to me? We always do this mistake of thinking like that. This is Irshya. Asuya is envy. Envy at the other man's rise. And Damba, pomp and show. Garva, pride, false pride. And the 14th channel, the 13th channel is Ahankara, the captain of all these 12. All these are bad channels. But there is a 14th channel for the mind, which is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. It is the willpower, also called free will, also known as Sankalpa Vritti. This is the Sankalpa talked about in the very first sloka today. Sankalpa Prabhavam Kaman. So willpower. This Sankalpa of the mind can go either in the direction of the 13 channels, bad channels, or in the direction of the only two good channels. What are the two good channels? Shraddha and Bhakti. Shraddha is faith. Bhakti is devotion. It is this Sankalpa that converts our thoughts into desires. So that is why it is also called desire will. Sankalpa is called desire will. We have to use our buddhi, our intellect, to kill the rise of these desires. There are three kinds of desires and likes, then dislikes. Three kinds of desires and dislikes. What are they? One that come from past association, like relationship. My father, my mother, my aunt, my son, my everything. All kinds of relatives. Past association. So relationship or possession. My house, my property, my thing, my opinion. So these are all the first kind of desire and dislike. Some we desire, some we dislike. That is number one. Number two, what comes from the present contact with the objects of the senses. Senses contact with sense objects. Today we see something good and it generates a desire in us. So this is from the present contact of the senses with the sense objects. So number one, past contact. Past contact includes all relatives, all friends, all associations, all our favorites, whatever, everything. Number two is the present contact. Number three is what comes from the physical body, our own physical body. It pains here, it pains here. You see, that kind of thing. Disease, sickness, illness, whatever. The first kind is the past association. How do we overcome it? We have to discard it by an intellectual analysis. What is the intellectual analysis? neither, this is the, I am now trying to explain, sankalpa prabhavan kaman, tyaktva sarvana sheshatakam, all the desires that arise have to be discarded. Then only you can have shanai ruparamir. Slowly you can withdraw the senses and the indriya gramam, the total gang of indriyas, the senses, back to the self. So the first kind, the past association, has to be discarded by an intellectual analysis. What is the intellectual analysis? Neither relationship, Nabandurna kalatram, like that. That is, neither relationship nor possession belongs to the self within us. Neither of them. Relationship does not belong to the self. The possession does not belong to the self. So nothing belongs to the self. This intellectual analysis will help you discard that past association. The second kind has to be overcome by the analysis. What is the second kind? Present contact. Has to be overcome by the analysis. Sense perceptions come and go. Agamapayi. Agamapayino anityam tam titikshasva bharata. See, second chapter itself, very beginning itself he said, they come and go, come and go. They all come and go and then pass. So that analysis must help us to understand that all these sense contacts are unimportant and impermanent. Now the third kind. Third kind comes from the physical body. The third kind has to be responded by the thought, by the vichara, that the body is not you certainly. That is where, that is where Advaita, the Vedanta helps. The very mind has to do this analysis. Vichara, analysis is vichara. Discrimination is viveka. Viveka vichara. The mind has to try to kill the very sankalpa that arises in the mind by this viveka vichara. When the mind is trying to meditate, these things, desires that arise by the sankalpa of the very mind, they are obstacles. So sage Ramakrishna says, fulfill your little desires. He is very considerate, compassionate towards us. Fulfill your little desires, but kill your substantial ones by viveka vichara. Anyway, that is one way. The mother of Aurobindo Ashram suggests a palliative at this point for tackling the mind's restlessness and fickleness. How do we tackle the restlessness? Chanchala and asthira. Restlessness, chanchala, asthira, fickle. Asthira is unsteadiness. She says, it's very interesting, follow carefully. I have tried to follow this, and I must say partially it is good. It helps. Observe the thoughts. Mother Aurobindo, the mother is speaking. Observe the thoughts and therefore the desires of the mind as you will observe a fight or quarrel, fun or frolic happening in the street from the window of your room. From the window of your room you look at the street, and the street somebody, they either quarrel, there is something happening, fun, frolic, all sorts of things. Be observant. Do we get involved in that? No. Simply be an observer of every one of your moving thoughts. This is what the mother says. Observe your thoughts. Watch your mind, says Chinmayananda. Watch your thoughts. We have to really understand this. Let those thoughts, let that thought be anything or about anything. It may be the harsh words that your relative or friend spoke to you a few days ago. It may be the argument which you had with a family member a few days earlier. It may be the loan amount which you have to collect from your neighbor, recover from the neighbor. It may be the gossip that came into your ears in the office the previous day. You see, all these things come and disturb us during our meditation. It may be the dilemma. It may be the dilemma that your back pain has placed you in. The body. Back pain has placed you in. Whether you have to go to the doctor or not. That's a dilemma. That dilemma is there. But right now it is coming and disturbing you in your meditation. Or it may be the research problem or question that rose up in your professional obligation, office, profession, work, and the latest spark of an idea that hit you last night in bed. It hit you, it's a good spark, and you have to go and follow it up in your office today, but right now it should not disturb you in the meditation. Or it may be the cell phone that is ringing and you want to know the caller ID there, caller's ID. Or very, very often it may be the worry caused by the deficit in the next month's budget, in our next month's home budget. Whatever it be, just watch the thought. It's very easily said and it's difficult to do it, but just follow me here. Do not think about anything. This is what is meant by na kinchit api chintayet, na kinchit api chintayet. Whatever it be, do not think about it. Does it mean then one has to think about the void or the shunya? No shunya there. That does not make sense. The self, does it mean then that about the Atman or you have to think about the Atman or the self? Even that does not make sense, because the self is not an object for thought. So think about the self is a wrong way of saying. So what is the purport of all this thing? The purport is to say that thinking process has to stop. Then you should be what you are. Just be. You are different from your thoughts. Don't be your thoughts. Be yourself. Sir, what does it mean? That's what I am trying to explain. Be sufficiently patient and just keep watching the thoughts. I have tried it, so that's why I am explaining to you. Be yourself. Be sufficiently patient and just keep watching the thoughts. Do not probe into the question how or why that thought came. You see, the thoughts come and go. Keep on coming. You cannot stop it. So do not probe into the question how the thought came or why the thought came. Do not analyze the positives and negatives of the subject matter of the thought. That process will generate new thoughts. Don't get into this chain reaction of thoughts. That is, one thought and then you question why that thought came, how that thought came, and then you begin thinking about. No. So don't also try to make a mental note of all the thoughts. As you meditate, the thoughts come. You keep on listing the thoughts in your mind so that you may think about it later. This is absurd. So do not try to make a mental note of the thoughts. Do not recognize the thoughts. This is the whole idea. They may pass through your mind now during the attempt to meditate. Just watch the thoughts come and go. Remember, thoughts never stay. They come and go. Just be a watcher. Don't get attached to any of the thoughts. That's a good idea. No, not now. You see, don't get attached to any of the thoughts. Don't take possession of the thoughts. A thought, as I told you, an idea struck in your mind and you want to pursue it in the office. That is a good idea. Now you see, you are going in a different direction. So don't take possession of the thoughts. That is where you fall into the prey of the ego. Don't ever get into the content of any of the thoughts. Just keep watching. Think not that you are watching. Just be. One by one thoughts will come. They will also disappear, like waves which rise and fall. One thought after another. It will keep coming and going. The next thought may delay a bit to appear. Don't expect it. When it delays, don't be ready to recognize it when it comes. You know what will happen if you do this? Automatically, the thoughts will become more and more feeble. Because you are not recognizing it. You are not doing anything with that thought. Don't think about anything. That's what it means. Nakinchidapi chintayet. The thoughts, they flow. So you do not think about anything. Stop thinking. Nakinchidapi chintayet. That means don't think about anything. Only be a witness to your thoughts. This is the meaning of Sakshi. Atmasam sammana kritva. It means recognize only the Atman as present and not the mind. There is no mind now. Only the Atman. Certainly mind is unsteady. It will wander. But every time it wanders, in whatever manner it wanders, wherever it wanders, bring it back with an effort from wherever it is, back to the anchor of the Atman from where it has strayed. This is the troubleshooting recipe of the Lord, given by the Lord. He himself has given this. He gives this recipe and closes the topic here. You try to understand. He does not talk about meditation hereafter. By that he means there is no other way. This is the only way. You may go to 100 yoga teachers. They will tell you so many things, but finally you have to come back to it. Yato nisharate manasyanchalam asthiram tatastato niyam yaitate atmanyeva vasham nayet. Every time it goes away, bring it back to the self. The mind will wander it will, but bring it back every time, because the mind has always two weaknesses. One, it is inconsistent. It jumps from one idea to a contradictory idea. That is the chanchala aspect, wandering aspect. Secondly, it is unsteady, asthira. It never stays with one thought. Every time either of this happens, one has to bring it back. You know, I told you long ago, in the earlier lectures, start the meditation with the japa of a mantra. So the japa of the mantra is now, you are not vocalizing it, it is at the back of the mind. That is what is going on. So, this bringing back to the Atman, the strategy is to bring back the mind to the same mantra with which you started the japa for meditation. That is why the japa. You do not know where to bring it back. That is why the japa of a mantra. That is why all acharyas give you a mantra for meditation. This is the beautiful recipe. There is no second ruling on this. This is the last, this is the only troubleshooting recipe. Yato nischarate manasyanchalam astiram tatastato niyam yaitate atmanyeva vasham nayet. And Krishna closes the chapter on dhyana right here. Because he says, once you do this, you know what will happen? Prashant 27, shloka number 27. Prashanta manasam henam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam kalmasham. Enam yoginam, this yogi who is doing all this, here now, he says, Uttamam sukham upaiti, the greatest sukha, infinite bliss, comes to him, upaiti, and he describes him by 4 adjectives. Prashanta manasam, shanta rajasam, brahmabhutam, akalmasham. Prashanta manasam, mind has quietened. It is not turbulent now. Shanta rajasam, all passions have been quietened. Akalmasham, all your faults, sins have been tranquilized. No more kalmasha. Brahma Bhutam. One has become Brahman because you are Atma Samstam Manakritva. That is the Brahma Bhuta. You have become Brahman. That is, mind has become perfectly tranquil, prashantam, perfectly shantam, quiet, tranquil. Shanta Rajasam, Rajas means passions. They are at rest, all the passions are at rest. Stainless, no more pains, no more faults. Akalmasham, Brahma Bhutam, who has become Brahman, who is liberated in life. Brahmatvam prapnoti, says one commentator, Sridhara. Shankara says Jivan Muktam. Brahma Bhutam is Jivan Muktam because he is convinced that Brahman alone is all. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. You are now one with the Absolute. We become what we constantly behold. According to the rule of the worm and the bee, Brahmara Kita Nyaya. Brahmara Kita. Brahmara is bee, Kita is worm, that Nyaya, that logic, that rule. Kita is worm. The worm is said to be constantly thinking of becoming a wasp. That constant thinking causes its own transformation of its form, and the wings grow, and finally it becomes a wasp and flies away. In fact, that is the nididhyasa of the worm. It makes it the wasp. So it is said anyway. That is the public view of things. Jiva, in the constant thought of Brahman, thinks of this Jiva as that Brahman. This is only that. This is the nididhyasana. Aham Brahmasmi. This is that. Nididhyasana all the time. Such a nididhyasana all the time ends up with the Jiva realizing it is Brahman only. Of course, the Brahmara Kita Nyaya, that analogy is not perfect, because in the case of Brahmara Kita, the Kita and the Brahmara, the worm and the bee are very much different in the beginning, and then it becomes the bee, it says. Here, the Jiva is thinking of the Brahman. There is no difference. That is Advaita. Jiva is already Brahman. He has only to realize it. Only the realization comes. That is what he says. Uttamam Sukham Upaiti. That infinite bliss reaches him. Nilakanta is the only commentator for the entire Mahabharata. So he comments on the Gita also. Great commentator. At this point he says, Uttamam Sukham Upaiti means Samprajnata Samadhi Phalabhutam Bhavati. This is Samprajnata Samadhi, he says. That Samadhi where you identify with the meditated object. Samprajnata Samadhi Phalabhutam. That fruit is this. So that is it. Prashanta Manasam Henam Yoginam Sukhamuttamam Upaiti Shantarajasam Brahmabhutam Kalmasham. Final sloka. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaham sukhena brahmasam sparsham atyantam sukhamasnute. Krishna himself is enraptured. He is inspired. It is wrong to say that Krishna is inspired. Krishna is always inspired, and it is no question of he is not being inspired any time. But still, looking at the way he gives out the words here, Sukhena Brahmasam Sparsham Atyantam Sukhamasnute, that has to be red lettered. It's a great shloka line. Yunjan evam yunjanne, thus making the self ever integrated and unionized, sada, all the time. The yogi, vigata kalmashaha, he is now without any taint, any sin. Remember, just a little while ago, he said, Brahmabhutama kalmasham. Also compare it with, earlier, shloka number, yes, shloka number 15. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasaka. Previous time when he was discussing the yoga, dhyana regimen, he said niyatamanasaka. That is not the final stage. You have to control all the mind and the senses and everything. Niyatamanasaka. But now that control has happened. So now vigata kalmashaha, all sins, all kalmasha, all faults have gone. You are rid of them. So this is the final stage. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha. You come now to the second line. This is one of the most majestic lines of the Gita. Sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukham asnute. Sukhena, very easily, very easily. Atyantam sukham asnute. He enjoys infinite bliss. Atyantam sukham. How? Brahma samsparsham atyantam sukham. He has contacted Brahman. He has touched Brahman. He has become Brahman. This Brahma samsparsha is a very pregnant word which the Lord uses. So he easily achieves contact with Brahman or infinite bliss. The infinite bliss itself comes from Brahman contact. The absolute is no more a mere rumor. It is not just academic. It is a vivid reality, a fact of experience. But hold back. Don't think this is all mechanical. In fact, I saw in a yoga book, if you do this meditation for 12 minutes, that is that. If you do it for 24 minutes, something happens. If you do it for 48 minutes, then that happens, like that. I mean, it's not a question of time. It is a question of God's grace. This happening, Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham Atyantam Sukhamasnute. He achieves contact with Brahman, the infinite bliss of Brahman contact. Atyantam Sukham, infinite bliss. This is not a mechanical consequence of whatever we have done. It has to happen only by God's grace. That is why Bhakti Yoga we are going to start in the 7th chapter. Anyway, that finishes the dhyana regimen. Swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahisha go brahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam lokas samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Tat Sat.